Hello there, everyone. How you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going to OhNoConsequences, where people cannot fathom that they have to reap what they sow. Now, if you enjoy, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and without further ado, let's get started, shall we? For our first story we have, my brother-in-law just told my wife he is in love with her. Of course, this is just an archive post, so it's like, I am not the OP. OP is Anxious Breath 1598. Anyway, let's read the story. Anyway, yesterday my brother-in-law, out of the blue, asked my wife if she can meet him for lunch. There is something he needs to talk to her about. My wife tells me about it before accepting and asks if I might have something to do with my sister. Maybe they're having problems and he wants to discuss it with another woman. I find this odd, but I tell her to go find out. So she accepts and they meet for lunch at a place near her office the next day. And that's where he tells her that he is in love with her. He lays it on thick, how beautiful she is, how she makes him feel, how he would treat her if she was his, how it was love at first sight, blah, 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 blah. Mind you, this man is married to my sister and has 2 kids. He and my wife have a friendly relationship. Our families see each other often, as we are a close family. He does text her frequently, but there was nothing overtly sexual. My brother-in-law texts and calls my mom too, so none of us thought anything of it. I want to stop for a moment and emphasize that my wife is not cheating on me with him. My wife and I share an iPad, and I see every one of her texts from there. We are also looking into each other's phones all the time, so none of that is going on. So she doesn't let him finish, walks out, and calls me immediately to tell me what happened. While she is on the phone with me, the texts from him start. He didn't mean it. He thinks it's only infatuation. Blah, 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 blah. She leaves work early to come home to talk to me about this, and her phone is blowing up the entire time with calls and texts from him. I tell her to answer, and she put him on speaker so I can hear. He's crying, begging not to tell my sister. Apparently when we were together this past weekend, he thought that she was flirting with him, and that he thought they had a moment where they were alone in the kitchen. Now, my wife is a major ballbuster, and I suppose I could see how that can be taken as flirting. He asks if she told me, to which I answer, yes, I am on speaker. And then he starts begging me. This went on for a while, and my main question was whether if he had cheated on my sister before. He said no, swore in his kids' lives, that's just my wife. He said I should understand. So I'm done listening at that point, and told him I wasn't going to do anything tonight, and would call him tomorrow. And that's where we are right now. I really don't know what to do. My wife says drive over there right now and tell my sister, but the idea of wrecking my sister's family is killing me. Thinking about what it will do if my nieces makes me want to vomit. I know the right thing to do is tell my sister, but I'm also thinking about my wife as well. It's not her fault, but there is sure to be resentment toward her from my family. Even if my sister doesn't divorce him and they reconcile, I can't see how they are ever together again like they were before, if at all. This whole episode can tear my family apart, and I don't give a shit about him. He tried to destroy my family, but I do care about everyone else. I don't know what to do. Any advice will help. Update. So everyone that told me last night that I couldn't wait to tell my sister was right. A little after 12 last night, I got a call from my sister and says that she has to tell me that my wife's tried to begin an affair with her husband. So he tried to pin it on her. I told her that's not the case and I'll be right over. So I get on the phone, wake my mother and father, tell them what's going on, wake my younger brother, tell him, and my mom and dad head to my sister's to sit with their kids, and my brother comes out to sit with ours, and my wife and I head over. My sister is out on the front porch with my brother-in-law when we get there. He looks beaten. He knows we have text and voicemail. I really don't know what he was hoping to accomplish. My wife gives my sister her phone. She sees the texts, listens to the voicemail, and he starts sobbing before she can say anything. My brother-in-law is a firefighter, a big tough guy, so this is a C. My sister is pretty tough. She tells him to stop it, pack a bag, and go. She can't stand to look at him. There's more begging, but she is having none of it. So my sister walks up to talk with my wife. I see them hugging, so I at least feel like they're okay. They have actually been friends since college. I met my wife through my sister, so they're tight. The thought of this wrecking their friendship has been weighing on me. This leaves me with my brother-in-law. He's broken, so I feel more sympathy than anger. He says he's sorry, he just couldn't help it. It's not hard to fall in love with my wife, so I get it, but damn, man. He eventually picks himself up and leaves, so we're all there that night. My sister starts asking my wife why her husband would think any of this would work out. He had to have some reason to believe that she felt the same way. My sister says they hadn't been having problems. Everything was always as it has been. My wife is crying at this point and says there's nothing you haven't seen. She gives my sister her phone again and they read through every text sent over the past 2 years and there's nothing there. My wife was just herself. She has a playful personality and so does my brother-in-law, so they tease each other. She does the same to my mom and younger brother as well. The only thing she could think of in the moment was the kitchen this past weekend he referenced. They both went for the fridge at the same time and they playfully jostled for who would get there first. He lets her win, but he reaches around her waist to get a beer slowly, and she did feel the way that he did it was a little inappropriate. She says she should have called him on it, but didn't want to make it a big thing. She feels that maybe the fact she didn't give him hope. My sister doesn't blame her, so at least that's good. So then my sister starts going through his MacBook to see what else she doesn't know about. She's angry and frantic at this point. She guesses the password, starts searching, and finds a lot of pictures of my wife on that computer. They went back entire years and always isolated on just her. We had gone as couples to the Caribbean a few years earlier. My wife wore a bikini. She doesn't usually, but since it was adults only, she did. There was probably 50 pictures of her in that bathing suit. So he's secretly been snapping these for years. Does this now enter restraining order territory? This has taken a creepy turn. I will update when I have more. Relevant comments. The fact that you casually said you wouldn't do anything tonight and you would call him tomorrow and not tell your sister ASAP is highly suspect. I can't imagine a situation where any man would want to have lunch with my wife alone to share something with her and I'd be okay with that. You really said wait until tomorrow after he professes their undying love to your wife. Something is their foot and there's more to this story that you're not sharing. OP says we're all pretty close. My sister and my wife are college friends and we're all family. I know this guy and he's not a stranger. I just needed some time to process. My whole life just changed. Someone else in the comments says he does text her frequently, but there was nothing overtly sexual. So since consistent text to your wife from your sister's husband were only a bit sexual, you let it slide? Anyways, I can't believe you didn't go straight to your sister's and tell her to beat his ass. OP says, the text never crossed the line. I see all of them and he knows that. We are family and it never occurred to me or my wife that things could take this turn. Like I said, my wife is a ballbuster and she treated him like a brother, like family. And there's another update over here. I've shared with my wife many of your comments and it makes her feel better, but virtually everyone here holds her blameless. It makes her feel better, so thank you. Unfortunately, the mess continues. My sister and I agreed to talk to her husband last night and let him explain. She puts my wife on during FaceTime during this conversation, so there'll be no line. I'm listening in as well off camera. My sister is also recording the whole thing, and he admits he's been obsessed with my wife for years. It started the day he met her. My wife and I were dating at the time, but he met my wife before he met me. Like I said, my wife and sister are longtime friends, and my sister wanted to introduce her boyfriend to her friends. He thought it was only physical for a while, but over time he knew it was more. My sister nearly kicks him out right there and then, but listens a little more, and she eventually asks what made him think that my wife would leave me for him. He answers that there is obviously mutual attraction, and he figured it would begin as an affair and then things would progress from there. My wife and sister explode at that point. There's a lot of cussing, a lot of screaming. Phone call is over. My wife hangs up because at this point she is concerned for me. She is shaken and distraught, assures me that the attraction was one-sided. I never thought it wasn't. Even if she did find him physically attractive, I know she would never act on it. She's not that type. Early on in our relationship, she caught me admiring her as she was dressing, asked if I liked what I saw before her face turned cold, and told me never to screw up or I'd never see it again. She meant it. She's serious about trust. Anyway, I knew my brother-in-law was a little cocky, but my God, I never knew he thought that highly of himself to be able to pull off something like this. I talked to my sister later on, and she is contacting the lawyer Monday to see what steps she can take to limit his exposure to her kids. As far as she's concerned, she is detached from reality. That is all I have for now. I'll update once it settles a little bit. We have a relevant comment from Pauline VA. My wife and I were talking about this, and that's what we thought. He wanted to start an affair from go for there. There is no way to recover from asking your sister-in-law to have an affair if the feeling isn't mutual. You have torched everything. This is incredibly high-risk gambit with a low success potential. But he would have done this sooner or later, with or without the kitchen incident. OP says, he has made comments to me many times through the years that my wife was out of my league. I would just laugh it off and agree she is. I guess he thought his gamble was not so high risk. And now there's a final update. This is likely to be my final update as I don't see much more happening after this besides divorce proceedings. Thanks from all the comments, they have helped my wife some with the guilt. Anyway, my brother-in-law returned home yesterday. Not because my sister wants him back, but because she can't legally stop him. They are done. I think he realizes that now. The lawyer tells my sister that since my brother-in-law's behavior over the past few days has been documented, there is a good chance that she'll be granted full custody. He doesn't seem to even want to fight her on that. My sister will be fine. Any love that she had for him is gone, and she doesn't seem too broken up about it. The kids don't know what happened yet, but my brother-in-law was never around much anyway when the kids came home. He slept at the fire station many nights and put in a lot of overtime. But it is certain to be hard on them once they know what's going to happen. Many commenters have said that there must be more women, but as far as we can tell, there hasn't been. It's really just the obsession with my wife. She has blocked his phone, but on the same night he returned home, he sends my wife an email from the account he just made. It started with an apology, but then took a turn. He said he never got to finish at the restaurant that day. Then he went on for paragraphs and paragraphs about all the things he loves about my wife, and the desperation he felt that led him to do what he did. He mentioned their mutual attraction again and the sexual tension that he always felt was between them, and ended up with a rather large section about me. Let's just say I didn't know he had such a low opinion of me. He was quite certain that I was not satisfying my wife properly. Anyway, we sent the email to my sister and it will go to the lawyer. It might be enough to get him removed from the house. Finally, my wife isn't great, but she's doing better now. Every day, she does blame herself for being too comfortable around my brother-in-law. She is always careful to set boundaries with other men. In case you haven't figured it out already, my wife is pretty stunning and gets a lot of male attention. But with my brother-in-law, she felt safe to be herself since he was family. Surely no lines would be crossed. She and my sister are cool and there doesn't appear to be any resentment, so that makes me happy. We will all be okay, it'll just take time. Thanks to all that commented and voiced their support. A relevant comment says, "What a bomb that he threw in to blow everything up. Please take steps to secure your home and car. I recommend a restraining order so we can't come around trying to explain or convince or apologize to your wife. Here's hoping your sister can do what needs to be done and can move on to a better life. OP says, I don't think my brother-in-law is dangerous, just conceited. The guy was quite the ladies' man before getting married, and still got plenty of attention even after. His ego is bruised, but I do have cameras and an alarm. That is the end of this story, and now we'll go on to the next one. Am I the a-hole for letting my chronically late wife miss an event she was looking forward to by not rushing her because I wanted her to face consequences? My wife, 32 female, and I, 31 male, have been together for 5 years. I am fed up with my wife's chronic lateness to many things. It's really annoying and it grates on my nerves. To her, it seems like no big deal because I always manage to rush her by telling her the time at an event 45 minutes early. She's never noticed earlier because she's too caught up with herself, constantly taking photos, and that's the reason she's always late. She has a decent following on Instagram and is looking to grow as a content creator. Oh boy, fellow content creator, but by the looks of it, this one's a piece of shit. I find it really silly how she turns everything we do into a photo session, and at this point, I've stopped agreeing to take her photos altogether. We've had several conversations about this, and I've told her that it's mentally exhausting for me to always have to stay on top of making sure we both get ready according to plan. But she never really does anything to address it. This time, I wanted her to experience the consequences of her actions. This month alone, we've been embarrassingly late to events 2 times, and this time was the first she realized I hadn't been honest about the time because I used to give her an ETA 40 minutes later. A week ago, I told her I wouldn't be doing that anymore, and that I expected her to act like the adult she is and be more responsible. It was her birthday this weekend, and I got her tickets to an event featuring several performers, including her favorite artist in the first act. This time, as I had already told her before, I didn't give her the extra 40-minute buffer. I expected her to remember our conversation and store that information in her head to plan accordingly. Instead, she did her old influencer routine, decorating our room, setting up our studio lights, dressing up, and taking photos. The whole time, I knew she was missing out on her favorite artist because she didn't take me seriously. It was so ironic that I didn't even feel like reminding her. I am done with the mental burden of always rushing and planning. We arrived and she realized what had happened. She got upset and started crying, asking how I could do this to her on her birthday. She said it seemed like she was liking the rise it got from her and asked why it couldn't set my ego aside for one day. I told her this was on her. I'd already made it clear I wasn't going to rush anymore, and she should have listened the first time and expected me to follow through, unlike her. She said the whole point of the event was to see the performances of those artists who'd we just missed. She was incredibly upset and kept crying off and on during the event. The ride home was awkward. I was in the downstairs restroom when she texted me saying I wasn't welcome in the bedroom that night. I ignored her message and went in when she was changing, and she looked like she wanted to kill me, and I simply told her that her saying I'm not welcome was irrelevant because it's my room too. If she's uncomfortable, she could take the couch. She ended up leaving to visit her mom, and I'm considering whether or not I was the asshole. You're not the asshole, my dude. I'm just leave it at that. But let me just put this in a perspective. My husband told me a week ago that he would stop lying to me about times in order for me to stop being late. Why didn't he keep lying to me? Like, the sheer absurdity of the statement when you sum up the story like that is absolutely absurd. You're not in the wrong, my dude, and is just holy shit. Anyway, on to the next story. We got a nice short one for the last story of the day. My fiancé is furious at me for telling the family to start eating Christmas breakfast without her. Am I the a-hole? Every year we have a family Christmas breakfast as part of our celebration, and this year it was organized for 11 a.m. My partner was aware what time it was planned for, but was running almost 2 hours late. I told my family to go ahead and eat as they had spent the morning preparing and cooking everything and said I would eat with my partner when she arrived. However, now I'm completely in the doghouse for excluding her from breakfast and that I'm an a-hole for inviting her if they weren't even going to wait. My opinion is that it's unfair to punish everyone for one person's poor time management, but I'm curious if I'm the jerk here or just a logical one. Yeah, someone in the comments says, not the a-hole, she excluded herself. It sucks that she's trying to blame you for the consequences of her own actions, but that's how life goes sometimes. People suck, let's just leave it at that. That is the end of today's video. If you all enjoyed the stories I had for you, check out my Reddit story playlist, or maybe my horror story playlist, if that's more your speed. If you enjoyed, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and potentially hype the video. I'm just saying that's a thing you can do now on YouTube. Please. Anyway, I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.